Hi there, my little poppies. Oh my god, do we go with poppies? I don't know. In the last video, I was like, what do we call ourselves? Poppy lore heads. That was the joke a while ago that I think Alyssa actually came up with, my girlfriend, that people who follow me should be called poppy lore heads because it's just so clunky and absolutely awkward that it's kind of iconic and hilarious. But poppies are cute. I've seen people say beetles because if you don't know, I'm the green beetle emoji in my girlfriend combo. But today we're gonna go with hi poppies. Maybe we can change it up every once in a while. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Lauren. I am a content creator here and on TikTok and on Instagram. And today I wanted to talk about how that happened. How does a random girl like myself become a full-time, I don't really use the word influencer because I almost feel like influencers have transcended content creation in an interesting way that I don't think that I have reached yet. I don't know that I ever will reach, but yes, I did. The title probably says influencer because gosh, it's less characters than content creator. But today I wanted to talk about how I was able to turn my ragtag regular life into one in which I'm literally just making content, putting it online, and that is what sustains me financially. Because before I started doing this, I feel like I was really curious about how people get to a point where they can do that, right? Like, it seems like every influencer, every content creator, they appear overnight on your FYP and you follow them and they already have hundreds of thousands of followers and you're just like, yes, they spawned like this. They spawned with a blue check because I have never seen them before. Where could they have possibly come from? But we know logically it can't be that way, right? Most of the time it's a slow growth and then a random boom, or slow growth and just until they come across your FYPs today. I thought I'd talk about how I did that. Because if you're watching this, I must have come across one of your algorithms, right? So let's talk about it. First, for some context, I just want to say that I think I am a person who very much believes that everything happens for a reason. And maybe this is like a coping mechanism to try and like justify why like bad things happen, right? You gotta believe that there's like a greater purpose. But I personally like to use this as a way to put less pressure on decisions that I make in my life, right? Because there's not one correct way. There's just different ways, different paths that I can take that would lead me to different areas of my life. And because I do heavily believe that little choices lead you to your path, I'm gonna start in the beginning. So for some context, if you don't know who I am, I grew up in the very rural conservative South. I lived in Tennessee from like the end of 5th grade to when I moved to college, and I had only moved from Ohio, so two rurals, okay? And what do you do when you live in the middle of nowhere? You watch YouTube. You watch YouTube and you go on tumblr.com and you read fanfiction.net and Archive of Our Own and whatever. So I was essentially always watching YouTube, right? And especially me, I grew up as like a little queer kid in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know any gay people in real life, so all of the gay people that I was seeing were on YouTube, right? I was like watching their draw my lives and like go pick out clothes with me to go to this event and blah blah blah. You know the gist. You've seen YouTube. And also for context, my parents were definitely the parents that were like, you can do anything you set your mind to. However, they did not want a famous child, so I was not able to make my own YouTube videos, even though at the time I was like, I could do this. I literally couldn't. I procrastinate now. The procrastination I had as a child, huge. But I did grow up in this household of believing that I could do anything I set my mind to, right? So picture me, right? Little rural lesbian living in southern Tennessee, going to high school, watching TV shows and YouTube, but I was like, I think representation is so important. I want to go into film and TV. I want to be a screenwriter and an actor, and I want to write queer stories and I want to act in them, and I want to grow up to offer out that hand of representation to people just like me. And the way to do it is TV. The super attainable job, you know, I mean, nobody wants to act, right? Nobody wants to write for TV and film. But my grades were very good, so where did I go? Yes, I'll say it, I did go to an Ivy League college. And you're thinking, oh, this is a joke, Lauren. No, I was obsessed with school. So yes, I did go to the University of Pennsylvania. I went to an Ivy League college. arguably got two of the easiest majors there, which I did cinema and media studies with a focus on screenwriting and communications. And before you're like, oh Lauren, I didn't know you had rich parents that could bankroll your entire life. No. Grew up not rich at all. Quite poor, in fact, and yes, I was applying for financial aid out the wazoo, still have student loans for it, for my little screenwriting degree that, as you can guess, I'm maybe or maybe not using at the moment. And while I was in college, I was like, this is amazing. I'm literally making my dreams come true. I'm gonna bring about representation for my community by, you know, getting this degree, moving to Hollywood, becoming a big A-list star and writer who just magically, you know, has a show on air at the age of ripe 22 years old. But of course, that's not how it went. There was this little something thing that I don't think anybody even really remembers. It was, the pandemic. And with the pandemic came the creation of my TikTok account. For context, during the pandemic, I was an RA on my campus. It was my last semester of college. I was a senior in college, right? But I had signed up to be a residential advisor, which means you live in the dorms, you do like student planning, you take care of students who need help, whatever. But my school didn't have any students on campus anymore because we were in the middle of a pandemic. They sent everybody home. However, we had a few international students who couldn't go home because the borders to the country were closed. So I was living in this the tiniest apartment you can imagine, and I couldn't see anyone because it was in the midst of it all, and I had already signed on to do this position, right? And I wanted to live in Philadelphia, which is where my college was, so I went. But that meant that I was living in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do and no one to see. It was kind of prime time to create TikToks. And I also went home for a little bit down to my parents' house in the South, and that's when I started also kind of messing around, and then I went back to my dorm. And I actually found a screenshot of my follower count from March 20th of 2020, arguably like right in the beginning times of like no one knew anything. I had 300 followers. And the types of videos I was posting at this time, it was literally just nonsense that made me laugh, that I thought was funny.
Okay, so somebody's been leaving like flower petals on my steps. And like I don't want to like make any assumptions, but I'm pretty sure it's this bush, so we're in love.
I wasn't trying to grow a following. I wasn't like, I am the next Charli D'Amelio, I am Addison Rae. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to have fun and post some videos and be a little goof. But when I was rotting away in that little dorm, I was like, wait, this can be a creative outlet for me. So I started making these videos where I would paint my face and do this like creative artsy scenario. I don't know if you guys remember, but I feel like there was an era in 2020 in which TikTok was like, this is cinema, this is art on the phone. Wait, also clarification, I was in the South from March of 2020 until the fall semester, and then the fall semester and the spring semester I was an RA. It doesn't really matter, but just for timeline's sake. But I was making these like cute little cinematic videos all alone in my room, and some of them now kind of make me cringe a little bit, but some of them I thought were really cool. Like I had my first viral video when I was doing this.
The cool thing about dying young, I never had to pay off my college debt. The bad thing about dying young is that sometimes you're brought back, and you're in charge of more than your own life. Ugh. God help us all.
And by the 9th of December 2020, remember I started in March with 300 followers, I had gained 70,000 followers, and I thought this was absolutely insane. But again, I was viewing it as this sort of just like creative outlet, have fun, make meme, make laugh. There wasn't a way to really monetize on it yet, so I wasn't taking it very seriously. Like, I believe the Creator Fund was up and running, but if you don't know, the Creator Fund was like a monetization program that just paid pennies. Like, I was excited to get the pennies, but girl, pennies don't pay rent, pennies don't pay groceries, so I was applying for jobs. Graduated college, spring of 2021, I packed up all of my stuff and I started driving to Los Angeles, because remember, I'm gonna be a big writer, I'm gonna be a big actor. On my way to Los Angeles, I'm literally in the car, I get a call to be a personal assistant for a content creator. And this is where things really started to change for me. I wasn't taking content creation seriously for me, but working as a personal assistant for a content creator, I saw just like how successful you could become if you really struck gold and if you really like put the work in. Like, this was the first time that I was starting to consider that this is, you know, a viable path, even if it's kind of a lofty goal, right? Especially compared to my very humble ambitions of being a writer and actor. Plus, if you don't know, the path to being a TV writer or a film writer is typically, there are a few paths, but I'd say the most traditional one is working as an assistant in one of the large agencies or management companies in Los Angeles. And my best friend and roommate was working at one of those agencies and coming home every day and sobbing. She hated her job. The people there were absolutely garbage. And I was coming home from my personal assistant gig with like free clothes. I was like, my boss bought me an acai bowl. I've never tried an acai bowl before. Have you ever had an acai bowl? So I was working for this content creator, still posting TikToks every once in a while. I hadn't super niched down. Right now, at where I am now, I'd say I'm very much in a niche of like sapphic content, lesbian positivity, WLW, LGBTQ. I make queer content and I love it. I love my niche, but at this time I was just kind of having fun. Most of the stuff honestly was gay, but I wasn't like super strictly in those guidelines yet. But after a year of being in LA and just messing around, remember in my first year I gained 70,000 followers. After a year of living in Los Angeles, I had gained 30,000 followers. Yeah, so I was at 100K. I was at 100K. For the longest time, I remember being stuck at 93,000 followers. I don't know why that number, but I was there for my birth, my 15th birthday, my marriage, my divorce, my remarriage, my death. Like, I was at 93,000 followers forever. So I'm loving my Los Angeles life. I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna write. I don't know when I'm gonna act, but I'm loving being a personal assistant. Boom, I get laid off. Oh. It's okay though, we love ex-boss, they were great to me. There just wasn't enough work for a full-time position, and I totally get that. And also, remember what I said at the beginning of the video? Everything happens for a reason. So I put my feelers out, I take another personal assistant gig. This time is not peaches and cream, I'm not getting acai bowls, I'm the one coming home and crying. It's horrid, and I'm working for a traditional celebrity, it's not a content creator anymore. I stayed there for 3 months and then it didn't work out. Something came up that ended the job early, and I thank God for it every day. Remember, everything happens for a reason. But after that, I was like, okay, great. So I live in Los Angeles and my only work experience is folding people's laundry and picking up dry cleaning. Awesome. Awesome, cool. But I did have June of 2023. I had 118,000 followers on TikTok. And I think this is about when I started my Instagram as well, because I was thinking to myself, I need to be posting reels. I have so much short form content. I need to be posting reels. I'm so deathly afraid of posting it on my actual Instagram and spamming the crap out of people who know me in real life and who are gonna say, this is cringe, Lauren. So I created a separate account. You might recognize her as more Poppy Lore before the High Poppy Lore era, ultimately the better era of High Poppy Lore. So in February of 2023, the creator beta program launched on TikTok. And this was a way to reward creators for making content over a minute long, right? They wanted to compete with YouTube, which I'm on right now if you can't tell. But I was like, this can work. I can earn money through making these 60+ second videos. I was making a lot of character videos at the time, and I was feeling super creative. I was starting to hone in more on my niche, and I was also earning some money. Not a lot, but some. I also started to have my first ever brand deals roll in, which was really exciting because I was like, I worked for a content creator. I knew how much money brand deals could bring in, and y'all, I don't think you know how much money brand deals can bring in. I'm still not making it an insane amount, but there are people out there making nauseating amounts of money for brand deals. And I was like, well, every ladder has a bottom rung. Well, why don't I grab on? Because there's only up to go. This is one of my favorite things about the idea of being a content creator, right? Is that there's no cap on what you can do. You could just grow and grow and grow and grow as long as you keep putting in the work and the effort. It is really like one step in front of the other the whole time. I would say that I really started to grow the end of 2023 when I start making a lot of advice videos and comedy videos specifically in my niche. And everyone this whole time had told me, Lauren, if you want to actually be a content creator, you need to niche down. You need to niche down. You need to niche down. And I didn't want to believe them. I said, I want people to like me for me. But I'm glad I did. Because October 9th, 2023, I hit 160,000 followers. That's less than a year ago. 160,000 followers. On November 27th, I hit 200,000 followers. That's 40,000 more followers in 1 month. Like 2 months. But that's insane. And March 3rd of this year, I hit 300,000 followers. Which means I gained 140,000 followers from October to March, and now, guys, right now, as I'm filming this video on May 7th, 2024, I don't know if it's gonna read it. I have 377,000 followers on TikTok, which means from November to now, I gained over 200,000 followers. And the truth of it is, niching down, and I was posting 3 times a day. And then eventually, I think TikTok's strategy changed and I started posting 1 time a day, but I was consistent as I possibly could be. And the other big change that I hear some people talk about, but not enough, if you're looking to be a content creator, you have to start talking. You have to start using your voice. For those first few years I was on TikTok, like stagnating and not really growing, it was because I was just using sounds and trying to do memes that I wasn't talking in. But once I started like sharing what was in my little meat brain, that's when everybody started listening. And I also gained 100,000 followers on Instagram, which is absolutely insane. Actually, as I'm filming this, I think I'm at 99.5, but that's crazy, guys. And if you're thinking, Lauren, well, how do you pay your rent? How do you buy your groceries? Especially in the beginning times when you weren't making crazy amounts. Y'all, yeah, I opened a credit card. I opened a credit card. Who's paid off the credit card? Me also. The reality is I have never been more broke in my life, but the bills are being paid. I have food on my table. I have a wonderful apartment with my beautiful girlfriend. Ultimately, the decision that I had to make when I really did decide to pursue this full time is, did I want more money but less free time working at a job that I didn't love? Or did I want less money but more free time in something that fulfilled me? And the thing about niching down is that I realized when I started getting like these messages and comments from people who were like, Lauren, you've helped me feel comfortable using the word lesbian. Lauren, you make me feel better about being gay. Lauren, you're like the big queer sister I never had. I think about that little rural teenager who was like, the only way I can make a difference is if I get a big budget movie out there and I write something and I act and Hollywood picks me and they put me on a billboard and then people can see me in a movie theater. And I realized that that's not the only way. Like, I don't know what happened, but I remember watching these YouTubers when I was younger and they were like a lifeline to me. And I guess I just never thought that I could be that for someone without playing a character or without writing a storyline. And to see that I could have actual change just posting like what I think in my brain to these strangers on the internet was just absolutely wild. Like, I've never felt more fulfilled in work in my entire life because it doesn't really feel like work. Like, making fun advice videos, fun, silly, goofy videos for my community just doesn't feel like work. So we've talked about TikTok, we've talked about Instagram. My girlfriend and I started a YouTube channel January of this year. I started my own channel, which this is on, April of this year, because I want this to be my job. I mean, it is my job, but I like want this to be my job. Getting messages from you guys and comments from you guys and just hearing about your stories and how I'm able to even like remotely touch them from so far away. I've never felt like this in my entire life, and to think that it all really happened in the last couple months where I feel confident in my abilities to do this, it's just, I feel so grateful. So if you've ever watched one of my videos, which you are, if you've ever liked one of my videos or commented or DM'd me, just know that you have literally changed my life. You have made my dreams come true. As just a girl in her 20s, the only thing I really wanted to do in life was to make my community feel more seen and more heard. And the idea that I really do actually get to do that for you guys, it makes me like emotional, genuinely. I just feel so lucky. And I think at the end of this, I just want to say that if you feel like you have something that you want to share with the world, or you have a dream, go for it, because there are people out there who want to hear what you have to say. And that's what I've learned throughout all of this, is that people do want to hear what I have to say. Even the goofy bits, even the stupid bits, there are people there listening. So I have been self-employed as a content creator since April of 2023. So just over a year, and I couldn't be more grateful. I feel so incredibly lucky, and I still do want to write and act. I want to bring this idea of hope and comfort within your identity to the biggest scale possible, and that is ultimately traditional media. But for now, I'm so happy to get to chat with you guys every single day. And maybe I am or am not working on a scripted piece with a certain cute auburn-haired bob having beautiful brown-eyed girl who I live with and I kiss her on the lips. And I'm really excited to share that with you guys whenever it's ready. But until then, thank you so much for hanging out with me. At the end of this, my concrete tips if you actually do want to become a content creator and you want to see growth and you want to be able to support yourself. It's about consistency. It's about using your actual voice, speaking your actual words, because people are much more likely to follow you if they connect with you as a person rather than if they connect with you aesthetically. And do what makes you happy, because when you're doing what makes you happy, it won't feel like work. I truly do feel like the luckiest girl alive, y'all, and I hope that this video brings you some inspiration and some joy, because talking about it just reminds me of how lucky I am. It's hard to not know how much money you're going to make every month. And sometimes it feels a little weird to have strangers think they really know your insides, even though you guys only see a little sliver of who I am. And hate comments used to get on my nerves, but now I just immediately block people, so it really doesn't get on my nerves. But at the end of the day, the pros just so much outweigh the cons, and I feel so happy. I take a shot every time I say I feel happy, and you would be blackout, but it's true. I feel so lucky and so happy, and I just want to say thank you again for letting this be my life. Okay, if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. I'm posting every Thursday, and if you want some more content, I post 3 times a week with my girlfriend on this channel. Make sure to check out my TikTok and my Instagram, because baby, that's what I've been talking about this whole time. And if you have any questions for me, make sure to drop them in the comments and hit that little bell to be notified every single time I post. Again, it's Thursdays, y'all. I've chosen my day of the week. It's Thursdays. Okay guys, I'll see you in the next one.